First of all, I'd like to thank Shu for inviting me and the Dome and all the wonderful work that they're doing here for our athletics in Japan. It's impressive. I'm honored to be here. I know that you can get a lot of people to come and speak, and I'm honored to be the one that was chosen for this event. You know, I don't know a lot of you. I've only been here a few days. I met a few coaches, and I'm incredibly impressed with the passion that the coaches have here. And I can tell you this, though. I know I'm standing in front of about 100 of the most important people in all of Japan. If you're a coach, you're important. Your job is critical. You know, and if you're doing your job well, think about this. If you're doing your job, you are shaping the character of so many young people. And if you do a great job with it, there'll be hundreds, perhaps thousands of kids in this area that want to be like you. An incredible thing and very, very, very big responsibility that we all have. I don't want you to think that I believe that I can come up here and talk for a few minutes and we're going to solve all the mysteries of coaching and figure out how to develop this culture of champions. What I am hoping for is that I might say something, one or two little things that you might take to heart, and it may change the way you think about coaching and working with kids. And that, in my experience, if you do and you hear it and it resonates, it may change your life. Not now, not next week, not next month, but years from now even. It could affect the way you handle a kid and change your life. I want to give you an example of what I'm talking about. When I was a young coach and I had some success and I thought, I'm going to go to college and coach and run out of the tunnel and be on TV and make a lot of money. And so I went to college to coach for 2 years and never saw my children or my wife for 2 years. And then one day, on a Sunday, because we only worked from noon until midnight, I was sent to pick up the film. And so I put my son in the car with me so I could see him. And he was 6 years old. And we were driving by a school, and I was looking at him and thinking, I love this child. I'm going to do so much for this child. And he said to me, he looked and he saw these girls playing baseball. And he said, Dad, what's that game those girls are playing? And those words, what's that game those girls are playing, changed my life. I realized I'm losing my son. I'm working with other people's children and I'm losing my own son. And so I went to the office of the coach and I told him, this is my last season, I'm done. And I went back to high school and coached. And 10 years go by, 10 years go by. And my son wrote a composition about a hero, and he chose me. And I thought, no big deal. Every father is his son's hero for 1 month out of your life. But the teacher showed me the composition, and he chose me because I gave up coaching in college to be with him. He's now 36. He calls me every day of my life. So I'm hoping that one moment of awareness for you can help you the same way I was helped when I listened to those words that my son said to me. Let's talk about culture. When I worked for Lead USA, they would send me to schools and to colleges to help the coaches develop their programs. And I would always ask them, what's your plan? What's your plan? And they would say, we're going to run this offense or that defense and win. And I always have the same question. What if you don't win? What if you don't win? What do you have for your kids then? And so you need to know what you're about. Why do you coach? Why do we have sports in schools? Why? What is our why? At St. John's, where I work, our mission, we say, we are building better men, husbands, and fathers. And our vision, the way we want to be seen by others out there, we want to be the standard of excellence by which all others are measured. We never say football. We never say winning. We never say championship. Our vision is much, much bigger than winning and losing. The secret is, how do we transform this vision into some behaviors? We use values, discipline, work ethic, commitment, loyalty, selflessness, love, trust. That's what we talk to our kids about. If you get a team of 50, 60, 100, last night I saw 150 kids who all believe in the same values, who all love each other, and who all work hard and are compassionate and loyal and committed, that's hard to beat. And winning is a result of those things. And I know this because I started coaching in 1971, and that's the last time I've coached a team with a losing record, and I have been out-coached hundreds of times. You have to take your kids, and they have to really embrace these values. We have 5 questions for them. If we take discipline, for example, we ask them, we meet together. Can you define it? Do you know what it looks like? Is it important? How can it help us? And how do we practice it? And I tell you that the qualities of a champion mostly come from here and from here. But what is important? What is important is that the coach leads with confidence, leads this character, this culture, and is proud to put that culture forward. So to be an authentic coach, what we say, what we think, and what we do has to be in line with our values always. And I want to give you one exercise that you can do with your players. We rate ourselves on our values. From 1 to 10, we give them a ranking. How are we doing? They never give themselves a 10. And so we ask them, what do you see or hear that keeps you from giving us a 10? And whatever they say, those are the things you must fix first before you worry about offense and defense or hitting or pitching. Fix your culture. And so I want 2 things that I want to present to you. 1, the power of a positive attitude. Coach must always be positive. But I have a story for you. It's embarrassing for me. I was young and foolish, but you need to hear this story. So I was a young coach sitting in my office, and down the hall came a 14-year-old African-American boy, 5'10", 395 pounds. He was wearing an orange sweatshirt and orange sweatpants because no clothes would fit him. And he said, "My name is Trent Patterson, and I'd like to play football for you." And I said, "You'd like to play football for me? Go lose 100 pounds and come see me." And I closed the door. If someone had done that to me, I would have been so angry, but not Trent Patterson. And the next day, I'm standing in the cafeteria because it's a tough school and all the coaches had to be in the lunchroom. I'm tapped on my shoulder from behind, and I turn around and there's Trent Patterson, and he says, "Coach Kaz, can you help me lose 100 pounds? In his eyes, I saw my son's eyes. So I took him to the nurse, and he lost 95 pounds in 1 year. He passed the physical for the first time in his life to play football. He came to practice and could not run 1 lap, but he had a positive attitude, and he worked so hard. The next year, he could run, and I said, "You must get strong." And he got strong and was the strongest person in the school. And by the time he was a junior, he started and was all state. And as a senior, he was all conference and all state. He was a great player, but he was 5'10", and he wanted to play college football. And in America, linemen are 6'4" and 6'5". And I tried, and I called everybody, but no one would offer. And then, on the last day of recruiting, before signing, the University of Alabama called and offered him a scholarship. He was one of the first kids ever to receive a scholarship from Alabama in the state of New York. And he went down to the University of Alabama and was the strongman at Alabama for 3 years. And he played for the national championship against the University of Miami on a line 6'4", 6'4", 6'2", 5'10", 6'4". His own high school football coach told him, "Go away, you're no good, you're too fat, you can't play." But he proved me wrong. And here's the thing about this positive attitude you need to hear. His attitude helped him achieve his goal to be a great football player at the University of Alabama, but it also changed me. Here I am, 30 years later, talking about Trent Patterson. His coach told him he was too fat, and he played at the University of Alabama. You can never underestimate one of your players who wants to be great, who wants to be good. You must work with that player. You must. And the last thing I want to say, you always have to be a coach. When you're a coach, your players expect you to be coaching all the time. Here at dinner, at church, at the mall, at school, on the field, everywhere. I was sitting in a classroom with my English class having fun. And I looked at the window, and there was this little old lady with a big African-American football player knocking on my door. And I knew she wanted me to come and solve some problem for her with my player. So I made up my mind, I'm going to give her 3 minutes out of my life. 3 minutes out of my life. So I go out there and she tells me, "Coach Casamento, Jonathan hasn't been coming to class, da-da-da-da-da-da-da-da." But I'm looking over her head at the clock. So her 30 seconds are up, so I turn to Jonathan and I say, "Why aren't you going to class?" And I'm going to give him 15 seconds. And he starts to answer, and I stop him. And I said, "Jonathan, you don't live with your father, do you?" He said, "No, I don't." And I said, "Do you want me to know how I knew that? Because if I was missing class for 2 weeks, my father would kick my rear end." So I put my arm around him and I said, "I tell you what I'm going to do, son. You missed that class, I'm going to kick your rear end." She was happy. He was happy. And I looked at the clock, 2.5 minutes, I was happy. So I knew, I didn't care. And he would see me and he would say, I'm going. 6 months went by. And I got a card in my office. And it said, June, it said, "Happy Father's Day. Coach Kaz, you were the only one who cared." I didn't care. But I did what a coach is supposed to do. And he said to me later in that envelope, he wrote, "I was so depressed, I was going to hurt myself if it hadn't been for you." You don't have to care, you don't always have to be right. You have to do what's right. So continue to work and do your job. Good luck to all of you, and thank you so much for inviting me to be here. Thank you.
コーチカズ、ありがとうございました。
Thank you so much, Coach Kaz. Inspirational. Thank you very much.